The colony in the dark. New Carthage was not meant to be permanent. It was meant to be a stepping stone. A mining outpost orbiting a dim red dwarf on the edge of mapped space. The planet below, Varelion, was rich in rare isotopes essential for faster-than-light drive cores. But it had one flaw. The nights were too long. Varelion rotated slowly, taking nearly 70 standard hours for a full day-night cycle. When darkness fell, it swallowed the world whole. The red dwarf star dipped below the horizon, and temperatures plunged. A thick, iron-rich mist rose from the rocky ground, turning the landscape into a sea of blood-colored fog. The first disappearances happened during third shift. A maintenance tech failed to report back from a geothermal pump station. Then 2 surveyors vanished from a ridge half a kilometer outside the perimeter fence. No signs of struggle. No blood. Just empty suits lying in the dust. The colonial administration blamed equipment failure. Radiation storms. Predatory fauna. They were wrong. Because something was watching. And it had learned what humans smelled like. To the predator in the mist. Sergeant Adrian Vale didn't believe in ghosts. He believed in trajectories, heat signatures, and bullet placement. That's why colonial security had called him in from Orbital patrol. 3 missing colonists in 6 days was bad for morale. 6 missing in 9 days was catastrophic. Adrian stood on the perimeter wall, helmet tucked beneath his arm, staring into the rolling crimson fog. "You're thinking too loud," Lieutenant Mara Ionescu said as she joined him. "I don't think loud," Adrian replied. "You glare loud." He smirked faintly. Thermal scans had shown anomalies beyond the perimeter. Cold pockets moving against wind patterns. Almost like shadows. "We're not alone," Mara said quietly. Adrian nodded. "I know." That was when the power flickered. Just once. But it was enough. The perimeter lights died for 3 seconds. In those 3 seconds, something crossed the fence. 3, first contact. The alarm screamed across the colony. Adrian was already moving. He sprinted toward Habitat Block C where motion sensors had tripped. Colonists were scrambling inside, sealing doors. Then he saw her. At first she looked almost human. Hair as dark as the space between stars, falling down her back in a sleek curtain. Her movements were fluid, predatory, but impossibly graceful. Her eyes glowed faintly silver in the dim emergency lights. She crouched beside a fallen colonist, head tilted, nostrils flaring. Smelling him, Adrian raised his rifle. "Step away." Her head snapped toward him. Their eyes locked. In that moment, something ancient flickered in her gaze. Instinct measuring threat, hunger calculating risk. She rose slowly. Too slowly. "You are not like the others," she said. Her voice was smooth. Musical. "Alien." Adrian blinked. "You speak English." She smiled faintly. "I listen." Her gaze drifted to his neck. He could feel it, the weight of her hunger. Then she inhaled deeply. And everything changed. Her expression shifted. Confusion. Revulsion. She stepped back. "You," she whispered. Adrian tightened his grip on his rifle. "What?" Her eyes narrowed. "Your blood." He swallowed. "What about it?" She stared at him as though seeing something impossible. "It burns." For the blood that wasn't food. The standoff lasted only seconds before backup arrived. Floodlights flared to life. Armed security officers surrounded her. She didn't flee. She could have. Adrian sensed that. Instead, she stood perfectly still, gaze never leaving him. "You are wrong," she said softly. "About what?" Adrian demanded. She tilted her head slightly. About who hunts whom. Then she moved. Too fast. Security fired. Plasma bolts lit the corridor. But she wasn't there. She vaulted upward, clinging to the habitat wall like gravity was optional, and vanished into a ventilation shaft before the second volley could connect. Silence followed. Mara exhaled sharply. What the hell was that? Adrian didn't answer. He was still thinking about her words. Your blood burns. The truth in the archive. The colony's Xenobiology database was thin on Varelian's native life. Most species were subterranean, carbon-based, cold-adapted. But there was one classified file buried in older exploration logs. Species designation, Varelian nocturnus. Unofficial name, Crimson Wraith. Notes from the original survey team described a humanoid predator capable of metabolizing hemoglobin directly as a primary energy source. They drink blood, Mara muttered. Not drink, Adrian corrected quietly. Convert. The file continued. The Nocturnus species possessed advanced neural mimicry, allowing rapid language acquisition. Highly intelligent. Social structures unknown. One note stood out. Caution. Human blood chemistry shows irregular reaction in preliminary exposure trials. Hemoglobin destabilization observed. Adrian leaned closer. What does that mean? The attached lab notes were fragmented, but one phrase repeated. Human iron saturation too high. Toxic cascade response. Mara looked at him slowly. To them, we're poisonous. Adrian felt a strange, grim satisfaction. Looks like it. 6. The hunter returns. The next night she came back. Not to feed. To watch. Adrian was waiting beyond the fence, standing alone beneath the crimson mist. Mara had called him insane. He disagreed. If she could have slaughtered them, she would have. Instead, she retreated. Curious. That made her predictable. He felt her before he saw her. A subtle shift in air pressure. A faint scrape against stone. You shouldn't be alone, she said from behind him. I'm not prey, he replied calmly. She stepped into view. Closer this time. Up close, he saw subtle differences. Slightly elongated canines, irises ringed with silver light, skin almost luminescent under the red dwarf glow. You are wrong, she said softly. You said that before. She studied him intently. I have hunted across 3 continents of this world. I have fed on many species. Colonists included, he said sharply. Her expression did not change. They entered our territory. Our. Her jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. My kind. Adrian lowered his weapon slightly. How many of you? Few remain. That surprised him. Why? She hesitated, then answered honestly. Starvation. The colony had disrupted underground ecosystems. Mining operations collapsed cavern networks. Indigenous prey species had declined. Her kind was desperate, but they could not feed on humans. Why didn't you attack me? Adrian asked. She stepped closer. He smelled something faintly metallic and cold. Because when I inhaled, I felt pain. She met his eyes. You are not prey. 7. War on the horizon. Back inside the colony, the administration did not share Adrian's curiosity. They saw threat. They prepared extermination. Orbital Command authorized a purge strike, thermal bombardment of surrounding sectors to eliminate Nocturnus nests. Adrian argued. They're intelligent. They're predators, the governor snapped. They're starving. Then they should have stayed in the dark. The strike was scheduled for the next night cycle. Adrian left the meeting furious. He returned to the perimeter. She was already there. "You are troubled," she observed. "They're going to kill you." She didn't flinch. "You would allow it?" He hesitated. "I don't want to." Her gaze softened slightly. "Why?" "Because you didn't kill me when you could have." She considered that. "Your blood denies us." "Exactly." She stepped closer again. "If your kind spreads across this world, my kind dies. And if we wipe you out, we become monsters." Silence stretched between them. Then she asked, "Is there another path? The poison that could save them?" Back in the lab, Adrian worked with xenobiologists to test the archived data. The reaction between human hemoglobin and nocturnus metabolism caused cellular overload. Toxic spike. Painful but not instantly lethal in small doses. What if it could be modified? Diluted? Synthesized? They worked through the night. Mara watched him carefully. "You trust her," she said. "I don't know if trust is the word. But she chose not to feed. That mattered. By dawn they had something. A synthetic hemoglobin compound adjusted for Varelian biology, retaining nutritional value while reducing toxic overload. It was untested. Risky. Possibly lethal. Adrian carried the sample beyond the fence. She emerged from the mist. "You bring something," she said quietly. "An alternative." She stared at the vial. "If this harms me." "It won't." "You cannot know that." "No," he admitted. "But I'm willing to risk it." Her eyes narrowed. "Why would you?" "Because coexistence beats extinction." She studied him for a long moment, then took the vial. Without breaking eye contact, she drank. 9. The burning trial. Her body reacted instantly. She staggered. Adrian lunged forward, catching her as she fell to her knees. Her veins lit faintly beneath her skin, silver light flickering erratically. She gasped sharply. "It burns," she hissed. He held her steady. "I'm here." Her claws dug into his armor. For several terrifying seconds, he thought he'd miscalculated. Her breathing steadied. The silver glow stabilized. The tension left her frame. She slowly opened her eyes. The hunger was gone, replaced by something else. "Oh, it nourishes," she whispered. Relief flooded him. Behind them, unseen in the mist, other glowing eyes watched. The night humans stopped being prey. The orbital strike was minutes from launch. Adrian transmitted a live feed from beyond the perimeter. He stood beside her, unarmed. Behind her, 3 other nocturnus emerged cautiously from the fog. The governor's face appeared on his wrist display. "Sergeant, step away immediately." "No," Adrian said firmly. "You're compromising the colony. I'm saving it." He gestured toward the nocturnus. "They don't need to hunt us." The governor scoffed. "They're predators. And we're adaptable." He explained the compound. Test. The results. Behind him, she stepped forward into clearer view. Her silver eyes met the camera lens. "We do not wish extinction," she said calmly. "We wish survival." Silence stretched across the comm channel. Then the orbital commander spoke. "Strike authorization, pending review." Minutes ticked by like centuries. Finally, orbital strike cancelled. Adrian exhaled slowly. The nocturnus behind her lowered their tense stances. For the first time since humans arrived on Varelian, there was no hunting in the mist. 11. A different kind of strength. Weeks passed. Joint research teams formed. Synthetic hemoglobin production scaled gradually. The Nocturnus agreed to remain outside designated human zones. Humans reduced expansion into key subterranean habitats. It wasn't perfect. It was fragile. But it worked. One night, Adrian stood beyond the fence again. She joined him silently. "You have changed the pattern," she said. "You helped." She tilted her head slightly. "Your blood is strange." He chuckled. "Too much iron." She stepped closer. "It no longer burns." He met her gaze. "So what does it mean?" Her silver eyes softened. "It means humans are not prey." The red dwarf star began rising, casting faint crimson light across the mist. "For the first time," she added quietly, "we do not fear starvation." He smiled. "And for the first time we don't fear the dark." They stood side by side as dawn slowly broke across Verelion. Not hunter and hunted. Not predator and prey. But two species that had stared into instinct and chosen something greater. On that long night beneath a dying star, a vampire alien realized a truth that would echo far beyond their world. Humans weren't prey. They were something far more dangerous. They were partners. And sometimes, they were the cure.